Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for today's virtual program, Stronger Together, Crafting Powerful Partnerships with Dr. Hollie Cost and Dr. Jocelyn Vickers with Auburn University Outreach Office of Public Service. I am Brittany Spillman, and I have the privilege of serving as the director of the Carey Center's Community and Collegiate Programs. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors who make programs like this possible. Our presenting sponsor for today is the Walker Area Community Foundation, a nonprofit grant-making organization that works every day to build permanent resources, spark meaningful conversations, inspire action, and empower partners to make a difference. We are also grateful to our community and collegiate program sponsors, Auburn University Outreach, the Kim and Tim Hudson Endowed Fund for Excellence, Auburn University Outreach Office of Public Service, the Drummond Thorne Stukes Endowed Fund for Excellence, and a community service grant made possible by State Representative Joe Lover. It is my pleasure to introduce today's speakers. Dr. Hollie Cost's career spans 25 years in higher education and civic leadership with a record of championing inclusivity, sustainability, wellness, and youth engagement. She collaboratively leads Auburn University's Rural Health Initiative and was instrumental in launching Auburn Across Alabama, the Montevallo Junior Council, and the Thrive Together Shelby County. A former professor and special education teacher, she concurrently served as Montevallo's mayor, overseeing more than $10 million in capital improvement projects. A native of Montgomery, Hollie is a three-time Auburn University graduate with a master's degree and Ph.D. in special education and a bachelor's in psychology. She is a Leadership Alabama graduate and was recognized as one of 25 women who shaped the state in 2023. Believing that partnerships and collaborations amplify collective impact, Hollie has made a career of putting her values into action. Dr. Jocelyn Vickers is a four-time graduate of Auburn University. She came to Auburn University as a transfer student in 1995, and after graduating with her undergraduate degree, she made the Auburn-Opelika area her home. Currently, Dr. Vickers is the Director of Public Service in the University Outreach and is in her 27th year of service at Auburn University. In addition to her service in outreach, Dr. Vickers advises 3 student organizations and occasionally teaches classes at Auburn University. Please join me in welcoming Hollie and Jocelyn.
So nice to be here. Thank you.
Good morning. It's so nice to meet you all. Gonna get started, Hollie?
Yep. As long as, can y'all see my screen okay? Is everybody give me a thumbs up? Great. Okay. Wonderful. Dr. Vickers, you gonna kick it off?
All right. So good morning, y'all. We're so happy to be here. As you know, our topic today is Stronger Together, Crafting Powerful Partnerships. We're just going to talk a little bit about how we can make partnerships better throughout the state of Alabama and elsewhere. And we know we don't have a whole lot of time, but we hope that you gain some insight with this short presentation. And we're going to always be available after this is done. So you can always email us, give us a call, or find us somewhere on campus where we can help you craft this as well.
So I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm super excited to be with you all. And when I saw all the names and the numbers of the folks that were going to attend, I got really fired up. This is a huge passion of mine, as you heard from the introduction, the wonderful introduction that Brittany gave us. And it's hard to sit through a virtual presentation. I know that because I'm not good at that. I'll be checking email and doing everything I need to do. So we understand if you need to do that, but we do hope to keep you engaged and just share some tidbits of information that from our experiences that will hopefully resonate with you. And we want you to leave just with the sense that we can make a difference. This is it's a tough world we're living in, and everybody on this screen is putting their heart and soul into making changes, and we believe in that. So I just am honored to be a part of this group, and I really appreciate the Carey Center for inviting us here. So I'll now pass the reins to my wonderful associate, Dr. Vickers, who will kick it off with the first few slides, and then I'll kick it off for the first few slides, and then my wonderful partner, Dr. Vickers, will take over from there. I wanted to give her an opportunity to say hello first, though. So thanks. And like I said, I was super happy to see you all, and I really just want we want to know something about you, and ideally we'd have you all talk and tell us a little bit about yourself, but because we have so many people here, that would take all day. So if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you would just put some information in the chat. And what we want to hear is, we would love to hear your name, and then just tell us your role in your organization so that everyone can see everyone else who's here. And I see my buddy Jan is there, who I knew when she was much younger. I think she was probably a teenager when I met her, and definitely see several other folks with us as well that are familiar. So just please look at that chat so you can see who you're joined by. I also want you to give me one hope for 2026, either professionally, locally, or globally. And I'll share a little bit of something about myself that just one hope. And I have been completely obsessed with these monks that are doing this walk for peace. And my hope is that they're successful, that we are going to have world peace, or we're going to have a more peaceful world. And I know that's bold, but I think with each one of us, it can happen. So if y'all just put that in the chat. And then we'll go ahead and get started. And we've been asked to talk to you about partnership. So partnership is fundamentally my belief that we can do anything really through partnerships, and that we're stronger together through partnerships. But this has to be about trust. No one is going to want to partner with you if they don't trust you. And just because you think you've instilled trust doesn't mean that you've actually instilled that trust in others. And we're going to share some of our experiences, really both positive and negative, when we look at this trust. So I've outlined some of the building blocks of trust building, and one of those is mutual respect. And that mutual respect has to be authentic, it has to be genuine, and it can't just be lip service. And so we're going to talk about how to build that respect a little bit today as well. Transparency. We can't have a hidden agenda there, and we need to share the information that we have as we have it. I know Brittany mentioned that I was in the public sector. I'm still in the public sector at the university, but the public sector when I was the mayor. And if there was ever any conception that I was hiding something or being dishonest, that's when things would fall apart. It was interesting to me because I felt like I overshared, and I think I still do sometimes. But then there still is the conception that communication hasn't happened. And so when I looked at the communication, we look at our partners and where do they most want the communication? How do they want the communication? And I'll just say I'm working in rural Alabama, and right now, a lot of folks in rural Alabama, they're not huge fans. Some of the folks we work with, the city council members and mayors, they're not really big fans of email. So I may send an email out, or even a mass email out, and I don't get a response. And I may feel like I've communicated, but that's not communication if that's not how folks are receiving it. So we have to really modify our method of communication to what their needs are. A lot of times I will text. Some of them don't like to text, so get on the phone. And then they also need to see me on a regular basis, just the in person. It's not always easy, but it's important if you want to build these partnerships. And I know when I'm looking at some of the folks, some of you all where you're from, Southeast Alabama Child Advocacy Center in Dothan, Alabama, Kim, appreciate that you want more children can live in safe homes and have safe school environments. And I imagine that that's something that you have to do in collaboration with others, and you probably have to get out there and really talk to people. So thanks for putting that in the chat. The inclusion of those community voices. There have been missteps along the way where, again, we may have meetings and we realize we're looking and we realize, oh no, I forgot to invite Mr. Jones. I forgot to invite Miss Sally. And you realize that that would have been an important person in the room. So we have to just really take note of those people and those community voices to determine who is it that we want to have in that room. And then sharing credit for those successes. We can get really excited and really hung up when we get an award, and your name may be on our award. I've got a few up here to my left, and my name's on there. But there should be probably 30 other names carved on these awards. And so that's something that I always try my best to recognize others and the role that they play. And so, if any of you have received any awards and you want to put them in the chat as we're going, I would, and with the just with the understanding that you received those awards along with others and that you had others there supporting you. You can stick those in the chat and that'd be great. So sharing credit for those successes and then working together through challenges. You're not alone. That's the whole point of having these, of really having the partners, is that it's like they talk about in a marriage. It should ideally double your happiness and divide your sorrows. And so with these community partners, that's exactly what we're looking at as well. Also want to talk a little bit about just the clarifying the roles in the partnership and the dynamics. When you have these partners, people need to understand what it is that their responsibility is, and we need to have it up front. I know in my experience, I may have started having a conversation with someone and we each agreed to do something, and I trust this person, and I'm going to cite someone on University of Montevallo's campus, Cody Jones. We had a pocket park that we had in the city of Montevallo, and with that pocket park, we all agreed who was going to do what, who was going to pay for certain things, who was going to water certain things. We all had that agreement, and it worked out beautifully. But what happens when Cody Jones leaves? And you can fill in the blank with a project that you have. So if someone is calling meetings, if someone is organizing a space for you to meet, and you've all agreed to that, but then what happens when Mindy Street is the new face there? Does she really have that knowledge? And has she seen those written commitments? Does she understand what Cary Center has signed up for? What Office of Public Service has signed up for? So having that in writing is important. And it's not because you don't trust people, but it's just to have that information there so that we're all on the same page. So we do have samples of MOAs and MOUs if there are, if you need things like that. What we want to communicate with you through this is that we are a resource to you. And I love this model. I've kind of transformed it a little bit. It's adapted. And this is really a model that shows the partnership continuum. So you may think that you're partnering with someone. And I've even had an experience here where I've asked folks if they want to be a partner, and they say, well, I'll be a collaborator. And that means they may not necessarily want to be listed as a 50% partner, but they'll be listed as someone who helps or who supports. So if you think about the partnerships that you have or that you think you have, I want you to look at this continuum and think about where you are on this continuum. Is it that you are each aware of each other and you call somebody a partner? I hope not. Are you each working for common goals? We're going up that continuum some, probably so. But even if you're working with shared resources, like I understand that there are some new resources in Opelika that are going to be out there, and we may be able to all share some of those facilities. Well, does that really mean we're partners? And I would challenge you with that to really look deep down and see, are you partners? Do you have to be partners? And if you don't have something, just really an agreement, an integration of goals, you're working together, you have this trust, something that you're working toward that can be transformational, it may not be a partnership, so to speak. So I just wanted to introduce a few of these ideas, and now I want to be able to pass it over to my wonderful partner in service. I won't say partner in crime, but a partner in service here, Dr. Vickers. And I will say that her coming on our team was really the best thing that happened to me since I got to Auburn University. Honestly, when I got to Auburn University and she joined our team, things just really started to blossom, and it's because of her background and her experience and her passion, and because we can be real with each other, and it just means the world. So thank you. So I'll hand it over.
All right. And we are probably too real with each other sometimes, but it's all love. It's all love. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of how you can gain trust in your relationships and how sometimes we forget about the trust that we need to have in these relationships. So some of our biggest missteps that we have when we are trying to gain relationships with partners is thinking that we know everything, thinking that we know best. But we can't walk into somebody else's community or somebody else's building and say, hey, we're from Auburn University and this is what we think that you need. We need to basically sit down, have a conversation, and find out what their needs are, not necessarily walk in and say, hey, we know what you need, because we really don't know their needs. Also, actually communicating and effectively. So, just like Holly said earlier, that some people don't like emails or everybody's not on social media. We know that most of us are, but in some communities, they don't have those outlets or they're not ready for those outlets. So you have to find out how they would like to communicate with you, what's best for them. And then when we walk in and say, hey, we know what we know what we want to do for you, and then we find out that that's not what we can do. As you know, with things going on right now, we can't actually promise anything when we're not sure where funding is coming from. We're not sure where resources are coming from. And when we say resources, that means finding people to help us out or finding facilities to do it. So we can't go in and say, hey, this is what we can do for you. And then we find out that we can't. You don't want to be able to not deliver what you told them you're going to do. And then being able to launch. Um, we sometimes give really unreasonable deadlines or timelines. So going in and say, hey, we can have this done for you in 6 months, knowing that it's going to take 6 months just to get started. So being able to sit down and actually figure out all the needs and how we can get this done in an effective and timely manner without saying that we can do this in this amount of time. Also, follow through, thinking about how we follow through with people. I know I am really, really bad about it. And so I can say this. I will say I'm going to do something and my mind shifts to something else and I totally forget. And then I have to be reminded, hey, you said you were going to get me this by this time. So being able to find a way to follow through with everything that you say you're going to do. If that means writing it in a calendar, putting it down in your phone where it'll alert you, however you have to do that, be able to follow through, because follow through is one of the biggest things that people hate. They hate for you not to follow back up with them.
I want to jump in real here and just say one thing that I've learned from a colleague. When there's an instance of follow through, she'll send an email, she'll copy herself, and then she'll flag that to make sure that she goes back in case she doesn't get a response.
Mhm.
So if you have any tips about follow through that work well for you, if you'll drop them in the chat.
And that's something I've actually started recently. Is now actually when Holly asks me for something, I say, hey, send me an email. And then I go ahead and flag it because that reminds me that I know that has to be done by that time. And I usually give myself an extra 24 hours so I know it's due the next day and not that actual day that I have it in my calendar. And then the last one of the biggest missteps is walking away. Just forgetting about the fact that you started something with a partner or a community, and then you just forget about it and you walk away. That could really hurt a community that is depending on you, that is waiting on you to do something that they've been trying to get done forever. And we've seen that happen before. But we also need to look at some of the outcomes that can actually gain trust, and that's having open communication. And we've talked about this a lot. Communication is the key to everything. And when you're thinking about communicating, you have to think about what's best for not just you, but for all people. So if you're going to use email, ask them, do they like email? Ask them, would you rather call or text message? How do they want to communicate with you? It may not be the best way for you to communicate, but you have to make sure that you're also communicating well with your partner or with that relationship that you're having, because that follows with mutual respect finding out what their needs are. That also helps with engagement. How you'll figure out who else that they can work with best. If you have a professor that does these projects and they don't communicate well with email as well, find somebody else that may be able to communicate with them. So all those things actually end up being one big trust issue when you're thinking about it, trying to make sure that you communicate, you have respect for them, finding the person that you need to engage best with them, and then also having those long-term partnerships, keeping the party going, even after the project is over, asking them, how are you doing? How else can we help? What can we do better with this project? Do we need to make some enhancements? Just making sure that we keep up with the person after we've done with those partnerships or those projects. And that's when we have that impact. And also, when you're going into a community and you want to help, we're not trying to make the burden any heavier because they already have a burden on their needs. We are trying to lighten the load. So find the best ways to lighten that load for that person or that partnership and not make more work for them. All right. So now we're going to look at some of the challenges that we have with partnerships. And we're going to go through these pretty fast because we know we only have a short amount of time. Trust. Trust takes time. We always say when we walk into a community, they always say Auburn comes and take over. So we try to make sure that we're not trying to take over what they're doing. We're just trying to help. So making sure that you find a way to show that they can trust you. Every organization has different policies and procedures. As an institution, we have our own. We have to follow our state laws and our other policies, whereas a 501c3 may have something totally different, or a nonprofit may have something totally different. So we just have to make sure that we talk about the differences between our policies and procedures. Also, relationships are fragile. In different communities, we have to just make sure that we try our best to focus on them and not on what our needs are. And Holly talked about that again at the beginning. When you go into these smaller communities, you have to make sure that you're thinking about their needs and not what we want out of the situation. And when we're talking about funding, grants, anything like that, it gets sticky when we want to figure out who gets the credit. All the time, everybody can't get the credit. So just figure out who's best to get that credit for that grant, and maybe we'll collaborate on something else where the other person gets that credit. Then we talk about how, things can be uncontrollable or difficult to control some of the things. If you think about some of these areas, I'll say like Bolagie, Alabama, where we have one of our rural health stations. Transportation may be an issue for some of the people to get there. So how do we factor in all those things in when we're thinking about some of the projects or partnerships that we're trying to have? Sometimes they're scared that it's not going to work out. And I think especially in some of these smaller communities, you have to think about they are afraid of funding. They're afraid that the people in the community is not going to accept the projects. So you have to think about how you can get buy-in from everybody there. And also, they think about how things have failed in the past. So you have to probably get them motivated about how we can make these things work a little bit better, even though you had those failures in the past. And then you have to think about your why. When we think about our why, our why with the Office of Public Service is to make Alabama a better place. We want to make it bigger and better. And not, when we say bigger and better, not putting more work on anybody, but making it where everybody sees the difference in the state of Alabama. And when you think about seeing the difference, you have to have those three things that you want to work on. And so go to the next slide, Holly. And so thinking about those three things that you want to work on, you think about your why. Our why for the Office of Public Service is health, wealth, and education. So those are our three words that we use when we're thinking about any project that we have. And if you think about health, wealth, and education, we have our rural health initiative, we have Campus Kitchen, we have, we're writing grants for different K-12 initiatives. And that also goes with education. So we're not only educating K-12 students, we're educating the community, and then we're also educating our Auburn University students. So those are our 3 words that we look at when we're thinking about our why. So what we want you to think about right now is, what is your why? What are those 3 words in your organization that will align with what you're trying to do? And if you want to drop that in the chat, that would be great for us to see. And I know it's hard to think about those 3 words, but start thinking about, what do you want for your organization? What is your why? And what are those 3 things that would make your why happen?
And I'm excited to look at these. And I do want to give a couple of shout outs. I do see my old friend Ben Freeman from high school here. I saw that I love seeing folks there that I know, and just seeing the work that you're doing. And I'm just really impressed with the caliber of people that are attending this. Also want to give a couple shout outs, just going back to this chat, for you all who are embracing that artist, the culture of the arts. I've worked on a lot of mural projects in Auburn, in Montevallo, and I'm also married to an artist, which helps. But then Main Street is near and dear to my heart. So I got started in this work also because my mother worked at the Sunshine Center in Montgomery. I see somebody here is from the Sunshine Center, working with individuals who are experiencing domestic abuse. And then just the tip about pinning a message to Outlook. Let's see, Joan Wright wrote that. Joan Wright, you need to teach me how to do that. I love it. And Jocelyn, I don't want to steal your thunder with looking at these 3 words, but I also know it's hard to talk and look at the chat.
I'm looking at them. I'm seeing like advocate, uplift, education, connect, support, grow, people, place, pride. Some of you have some really great ideas with your 3 words and how you can use them towards what your initiatives are, what your mission and your goals are. All right. So we're going to share a few of our successes and challenges that we've had with some of our projects. I'm going to start with the 2 projects that I've worked on recently. The first one is our Campus Kitchen project, which is a project that is run directly by students. It is student-led. I am just the advisor. We have so many students that are involved in food insecurity on campus that you would not even imagine. And so most of these students that are working with Campus Kitchen, they are in pre-med, pre-pharmacy, dentistry. Most of them are going to med school or some type of health relations related schools after graduation. So this is why they're so interested in food insecurity. And looking at some of our numbers, you can see that these students are working very hard. We have recovered over 39,000 pounds of food. And when I say recovered, we go to every cafeteria on campus and get food. We go to Panera Bread and we get food every week. We even go to the Starbucks off campus and get food. So we are getting food from places not just on campus, but off campus, to kind of repurpose that and make that back into meals, and we deliver it back out to the community. We have one of the biggest Meals on Wheels shifts in Lee County area. Actually, the food bank is now giving all the Meals on Wheels shifts to Campus Kitchen. Ever since we've had we were having the problems with SNAP. So we started picking up more shifts in the fall semester, which also hurt us a little bit because we try to make sure that we're stocked up on food all the time. But with us having to pick up with the SNAP benefits, people losing their SNAP benefits, we actually had to really go out and find food elsewhere. But it worked out for the fall. And as you see, we had over 1,100 students to volunteer. And these students are volunteering because they need hours for med school, or they're volunteering just because they want to be there, especially the Campus Kitchen kids. They just want to be there. We have over 100 shift leaders. I have about 12 people on exec board. And when I say they work timeless hours, they're here during Christmas vacation, during their spring break. They're always here trying to make sure that they're giving back to our community. And the second program that I want to talk about that has really blossomed in the last few years is our Auburn Across Alabama. Holly established it in 22. I took over in 24. I think I took over in 24 with Auburn Across Alabama. We have been to 10 counties, and some of those counties are Lee, Macon. We've been to
Papers.
Chambers. We've been to, I didn't hear you.
Hale.
We've been to Hale County. We've been to Bolagie, Alabama. We've been to Selma twice. We've been to Tuskegee twice. We even visited Montgomery. So we've actually done this with both students and faculty and staff. So we have in the past done 2 trips per year. One in the fall, at the beginning of fall for faculty and staff, and then one in spring for students. The actual project for the students, what we're trying to do is get students to understand that it's other places to live and work besides these larger areas in the state of Alabama. So we're trying to get students involved where they want to be in some of these smaller counties that actually need their help, need students that have college degrees. So we're taking them there so they can actually get that experience and find out that it's okay to want to stay in a small town. You may not have a Kroger next to you, but you may have the opportunity to learn more in those areas than you would in some of the larger areas. As you can see, we've had over 120 participants. If you see the actual house that I'm standing in front of, that's one of our projects that we actually finished this year. So we went to Selma a number of times. We finally had some opportunity to take the College of Architecture there. They're actually part of the Rule Studio project as well, and they started a partnership with the city of Selma, um, the HUD, and they end up starting building. They started building houses after all the tornadoes and everything that happened in Selma. And so that was the first house that was built that was finished in spring of last year. And I was able to be there for that dedication. They're actually about to dedicate another house um this month, if I'm not mistaken, that they've finished as well.
We'll go ahead and move forward with another project. And this is a project right now that's near and dear to my heart. When I came to Auburn University, I was excited because I got to be in a position where I could be with a team that would impact the state on really a profound level. And the only way we've been able to do this is through partnerships. So thanks, Jocelyn, for citing all the many partnerships that you had that enabled you to do what you've done with Campus Kitchen and then also with Auburn Across Alabama. So I'm going to share just a couple of projects that I've been working on for a while. And I do want to just go back to some of the words that you put in this in the chat. Thriving community, impact, advocacy. I see faith there. I see advocacy a lot. And what we're looking at is many of you are the voices when others cannot be, and your voices are amplified when you work together, so as organizations. So I hope that you're able to look at everyone's name on here and all the organizations and think maybe I need to reach out to them. And I'm sure Brittany would be happy to help you to stay connected. I'm sure she already is. But the Auburn University Rural Health Initiative is a response to the inequitable healthcare access that we have across the state of Alabama. There are many, many people, thousands of our neighbors, who don't have the same access to healthcare that you and I have. And that's either because they have transportation barriers, they have financial barriers, or just plain old distance. And so we ran across, or we were introduced to a really unique piece of technology called OnMed. And I would encourage you to look that up. I can put it in the chat, but it's pretty easy. It's just onmed.com. And that is, it's a piece of technology. It's a telehealth station. It's a care station that folks can just go in and they literally press a button and a live full-size person comes on the screen and they can conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your health care and your health needs, and they can send a prescription to the nearest pharmacy. They could even deliver it through the station itself, but Alabama doesn't allow that just yet. And so we we're really excited to be able to have this. There's also no charge to people in the community. So if folks need to go get a refill on some medication, rather than going in and paying a copay, they can go into the care station and they can order their refill until they're able to go to their primary care provider. That's just one example. But when we're looking at this, we looked at, okay, how are we going to, first of all, where do we want to put these? And so the steps that we went through in order to identify this is reaching out to our partners. We worked with the cooperative extension system to really leverage those relationships that they had. And then we wanted to go into communities and say, is this something you need? Is this something you want? And we started with the leadership. So I have a network of mayors out there because we kind of stick together, even former mayors, and reached out to the mayor and the city council and the fire chief to say, is this something that would work? And very thankfully, we landed in Chambers County as our first location. And I know many of you on here are my Chambers County friends. So again, we're just thrilled to be able to provide this service. And so what we did is we provided the station itself, but we realized you can't just go in and put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So the station is maybe the front line there, but then we have a referral network. Again, partners. So we refer individuals out to other providers there. And then again, it's not just healthcare, it's about preventive care. It's about education. And so we have all of the partners you see in that little that visual down in the bottom right corner. Those are many of our partners, and the network has even grown since then. But we would not be able to do what we do without partners. So if you looked at this on a map, and I won't bore you by navigating all of those buttons and switching screens, but you'll see that we have now 4 locations in West Alabama, 1 location in East Alabama, and we're expanding to 8 other locations in East Alabama. Yeah, I see Jan's like, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, and not with the care station, but those are going to be with telehealth carts. So it's not the super fancy, sexy, big machine that folks can walk in. It's a little. It would probably be a little more cumbersome for individuals to operate on their own, but it's still increasing healthcare access. This is a top priority for the work that we're doing. We could not do it on our own. If Auburn University comes there and they tell a community what they want, just like if any of your organizations go into somewhere and tell them what they want or what they need, it's not going to work. If you're developing a treatment plan for an individual, they have to be at the front seat, right there in the front seat with you. So that's what we look at here. And you see all of our service areas. You see the outcomes. And this is just for last year. We haven't even, this for 2024, we haven't even compiled our report yet for 2025 because the data is still coming in. But we're thrilled about this. And you can go to, you can look up Auburn University Rural Health. And then you can find out more about the initiative and the work that we're doing. But we couldn't do it if we didn't work together, for sure. Another project again that's nearing project. Let me see. Let me make sure that's good. Okay. Other projects that really are near and dear to my heart are these civic partnerships, and all of these were based in my work at the University of Montevallo and as the mayor of the city of Montevallo. So one of the projects I'm the most proud of, I think, is the Montevallo Junior City Council. We had a group of students who they were working together, and they went through this whole year of a Students Institute through the David Matthews Center for Civic Life. And at the end of that, we had 8 really gangbuster kids that said, I want to do something. I want to be more involved. And so, I think I was on the city council then, but we developed a junior city council, and we even have a junior mayor. And they still to this day are active in the city of Montevallo, and they are the voices of the youth. So if you look at your boards, I'd love to see, do any of you have junior boards? And you can put it in the chat, or so we can know, do any of you have junior boards? Because when we're looking at that, it may be young professionals, it may be it may be college students, but look at the high school students. Look at even the junior high or middle school students. Somebody, let's see, someone doesn't have a junior board. Better Basics, junior board, awesome, you love it. United Way, junior board, woo woo, that's good. Family Sunshine Center, I love it. Okay, this is great. You see the value of the youth. I mean, because we're not going to be here forever and we want to have a whole new group of leaders. So I have Taco Bell there because we have a Taco Bell in Montevallo because these youth put around a petition that said, bring the bell to the valley, Not only do we get some really good tacos there and my favorite refried beans, but we also get over $100,000 in sales tax revenue to the city. That's 3 police cars, y'all. I mean, they can make a huge impact. Freshwater Land Trust has one. Love it. Okay, Big Brothers and Sisters. All right, you guys are rocking it. Other things that I did want to mention is we did an entire downtown streetscape renovation in Montevallo. If you haven't been there yet, go check it out. But we renovated, we repaved every street in town. We built a new city hall. We built a 167-acre city park development, and it just was very impactful because we were partners in this. And I already mentioned the mural projects, but I do want to mention our County Mayors Association. In Shelby County, we have 14 different municipalities, and for whatever reason, they were crazy enough to elect me as the chair of that organization for the entire time that I was mayor when that was in existence. And we did some pretty powerful things. We shared resources. And again, one of the great points of pride for me is during the time when George Floyd was murdered, during COVID, it was a really, really challenging time for our country and for our community. And all of the mayors unanimously voted to sign a petition that indicated that Black Lives Matter. And that was actually the wording that was in there. And they really indicated that they cared and that they understood and that they were passionate about that. And so to have a community that is very conservative in Shelby County, and to just put that out there, it was very meaningful. And so these mayors banding together, it showed a lot. Again, sharing resources. The city of Alabaster gave the city of Montevallo a grapple truck. Look it up if you don't know what that is. I didn't until they gave it to us. So these partnerships are powerful. And if you have, we're gonna give you an opportunity to give us some information right now, a partnership success story that names the partner and an outcome or an impact. So maybe somebody gave you a building. I know that happens sometimes with nonprofits. So if you could put that in the chat, that would be really meaningful to me. Just let us know a partnership success story and an outcome and an impact, maybe, and it can be as simple or as complex as you want to put it out there. I'll say one more. Alabama Power gave the city of Montevallo a building for our recycling center. So we own it now. I'm not there anymore, but that was just really meaningful. So, anything, if you have anything to share, we'll read those out as they start coming in. Either I have a delay or y'all are all checking your email. So, okay, good, yay. All right, John Wright, co-location of adult training services at Jeff State Community Colleges. Universities, colleges are great partners. Come to us if you need resources. Not that we're dripping with money and resources, but we want to help. Okay, here we go. All right, Special Strong, Adaptive Fitness, a franchise that needed to launch and that has been a wonderful addition. That's great. Katila of Rainbow Omega, and I visited Rainbow Omega. I love it. Jamie Mitchell, Alabama Community College System. Don't drop it on Alabama. That's great. And I believe you're with PALS, and I've done some work with them as well. East Alabama Community Foundation. Thanks, Ben. I work with Lee County EMA for a grant for a new drone. Yeah, I mean, we have written grants with folks, so consider that, the power of partnerships, also the power of those matching funds. If you need matching funds, or just in-kind services, Jocelyn's like, don't give away our money, but in-kind services, think about your partners that can also add that. So thanks for that. Some lessons that we've learned along the way. Consistency and trust building. You have to be there day in and day out, and you will make mistakes. I don't have this up here, but you will make mistakes. Again, you may not have some people at the table and they wonder why they weren't invited. And if you tell them it was an oversight and you're sorry and it won't happen again, sometimes they believe you, sometimes they don't, but don't let it happen again. I see Counselor Hunter Williams for a 1 mile trail in Birmingham. This is great. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked by looking at all your great collaborations. That's wonderful. The importance of community voice. I'll give a little story about this. When I was in Montevallo, we were building our streetscape, and we got every business owner there to the table to give us their feedback. And there was one gentleman, and he was very outspoken, and was, some people called him the SOB down the street. I didn't call him that. I just called him Walt. But Walt was really outspoken about the city, very against the city. We brought him to the table to be there to weigh in on things of importance. He ended up giving us pastries from Publix every day during that construction project because he was a voice at the table. We were revising an ordinance for property maintenance in Montevallo, and there was a woman there that was very, very much against it because she felt like it was going to sink her real estate business for rental agencies. Well, we stopped. I got her on a committee to revamp that ordinance, and now she's one of my dear friends. We exchanged Christmas presents, and she's actually been the chair of the Main Street board for us. She helped us launch Main Street. And so they can be your best ally. Your greatest critic can be your best ally. One more story, and then I'll keep moving. But I got a message on Facebook once, somebody just complaining about our ballparks and how the things weren't being run well, and just how disgusted he was with it. And so I ended up posting a position for someone to run that. He applied for the position, he got it. Best Parks and Rec director we've ever had. And again, we're still friends to this day. So your greatest critics can be your greatest assets and allies if you'll open up the door to them. And then I will just say flexibility and adaptation. There are many projects that I started that did not end up how I planned for them. Think about the programs you're running. You may have a program that you only envision for youth, but then you understand that senior adults might really enjoy that as well, or they may want to get engaged in these programs. So being willing to adapt. A few lessons there. Just powerful partnerships. These are some overarching guidelines, and we talked about a lot of these, so I won't belabor the points that we've already talked about. Just keep in mind we do have a memorandum of agreement, and we can help you develop those even if we have nothing to do with it. I like doing stuff like this because I'm weird. Collaborative projects take longer. They just do. If I did a project, it'd be moving, but it would not be as good as it is if I didn't have somebody else involved. The other is to clearly designate leadership. If there's questions about who's in charge, that's a problem. And if you agree not to be in charge, you have to step back. And you can see a couple of the others there as well that we've talked about. The teams being inclusive is key. And then this is your time, and you have a couple of other things that we want to wrap it up with, and then you'll have time for questions. But if you could just articulate a goal, and you don't have to put it in the chat, you can, but think about for yourself. I want you to leave here. I want this to make a difference. I don't want this just to be one more hour that you sat in front of a screen and checked your email. I hope something resonated with you when we're talking about this, but what is something that you think you can do in 2026 is going to be better through partnerships? And if you want to share it with us, do it. Go for it. If you want to keep it on your own to yourself, I get it. But feel free to do that as well. So just think about that as your goal. And then in what ways I also just want you to let us know, how can we be supportive? And I've listed a few ways that we can be supportive. You'll all have our contact information here. I answer every single email that is sent to me. I just do. I also respond to texts and phone calls. So if you really do want help, I really will help, or I'll connect you to someone who can. So feel free. Oh, and I see that folks are putting there, they're looking for a partner. So
And I put our website in there too because our website wasn't
good.
on our last page. So
there. I love the goal here. Better communicate with your partners. And so, yeah, if you need a partner, put it in the chat. I mean, you have 59 people here that could be potential partners. And then we want to wrap it up by having Jocelyn give you a way that you can directly partner with us. And so this is an action that you can take today. And do you want to talk about it, and then I'll stop sharing so you can share the steps to go through it?
Well, I'll talk about it a little bit.
Okay,
So,
go for it.
So we We used to have a website called Auburn Serves, where we would have all our partners go on there and just register. And if you're looking for students to volunteer or people to volunteer, you can go on there and put your information in there, and the students can go on and try to volunteer for you. Well, we have now partnered. Here we go, another partnership. So
Yeah.
we have now partnered with student involvement with GivePulse. They already had GivePulse as their platform for um, service learning and community engagement and all of that. So what we've done is we've partnered with them to buy a larger version of GivePulse, where we basically combined our Auburn serves with this. And so we need our old partners and new partners to now sign up in GivePulse. And what GivePulse will give you is the opportunity to put your events in there where you can have students or faculty or staff come in and volunteer, do service learning, or it gives faculty the opportunity to find projects that they need for tenure. So we can use this for multiple outlets. And it also just gets you registered where you can also go in and see some of the things that are going on at Auburn University to see how you can connect with some of the departments at Auburn to see if you want to work with them as well. So it's like a twofold thing. Um, and a lot of universities are using this now and it's working. So we want to now be the university that have this work. And we are not using it to the best of our ability. So we want to start now. So I'm going to give you a quick overview how you can register with GivePulse. So I'm going to share my screen.
And while she's pulling that up, just keep in mind, this is like access to 20,000 plus volunteers for support. And so, and this is a way for faculty members also, like Dr. Vickers said, to be engaged with you as well, for you to be engaged with them. So I put the link in there and you do not have to be invited.
Yep. So you do not have to be invited, but I'm going to show you where this says at the bottom, if you can see this, because I can't. My screen looks a little different right now. Can you all see where my mouse is on sign up? All right, great. So if you don't have an account with Auburn, you will have to sign up. And you can use any email address, establish your account there. They're not going to allow me to do that because I would have to use a bogus email address like Hollie did yesterday. So I'm just going to go in as Auburn, and then I'm going to log in really quickly, and then I can show you exactly where you'll go. All right. So when it comes up, you will see something kind of similar to this, but this will be the same on the side. So you will create a new group. It doesn't sound right because you think that you're just trying to do a group, but you're actually trying to create your own group. And then what you will do is put in all of your information. So if it is the Carey Center, you will put the Carey Center as the group. And then, so right here where it says name, I'm just gonna start there. And whatever type of group you are, if you're a nonprofit, if you're part of a university, a business, city, whatever it is, or if it's not there, just put other. And then you write your description. So you can give your mission statement, who you are, what you're trying to do. You can put all that in your description. And then you'll also put your address. We're just gonna put Auburn, Alabama, so I can move forward. Might say, I'm just gonna say it. And I can go in and delete all this, so it's fine. And when you see this, don't get alarmed because you don't have to pay for anything. You go with continue to basic plan because we are already paying for it. So we just want you to go in and put your information. Once you've done all that, you go here. And that here, you can edit your group. You can add your events, which is right there. And impacts, you can put any type of impact that you want. So when student groups are saying they're looking for volunteer hours for, say service or say church events, one of your impacts can be churches, or one of your impacts can be food insecurity. One of your impacts can be child advocacy. So you can put all that in as your impacts. And so when students are looking for specific service learning or specific volunteer opportunities, they can look for those impacts. And I know this looks kind of difficult, but I promise you, once you start, it gets pretty easy. And as you can see, you can create your events here. You have a calendar, and it'll put all your events in a calendar. And you can go in and you can update your events anytime. You can do a lot of customization on there, so you can do all that. You can actually say that you can add a fundraiser, but we try not to do that too much with the students. But you can add a fundraiser on there if you would like to. You also have other resources here. If you're looking for interns, you can add an internship there. Because I know a lot of you like to find interns for spring semester or fall semester, and students actually need internships, so you can do that as well.
Thanks, Jocelyn. I think we have 5 minutes now. And
Yes.
so I guess we'll hand it back over to Brittany in case we want to wrap it up. But I just want to thank y'all for being here and for sticking with us. We still have, how many people do we still have? We still have 56 people here. That's pretty good. We didn't drop too many. I think we dropped 6. All right. Thanks.
Hollie and Jocelyn, thank you so much for that inspiring program today. For everyone that is joining us, please keep an eye out for an email from me. It'll have a link to the presentation and recording, a quick 3-question survey, and an opportunity to sign up as a Carey Center nonprofit affiliate if you are not already one. Our nonprofit affiliate now serves over 450 nonprofits across Alabama and beyond, and it's a great way to access educational programs, professional development, and networking opportunities. And membership is completely free. We are also excited to share information about the Carey Center Nonprofit Professional Certificate. This is an online, non-degreed certificate developed in partnership with the Auburn University Office of Professional and Continuing Education and Merit Nonprofit Professional Development. It is an anytime, anywhere micro-learning platform that helps nonprofit professionals strengthen 6 key areas, including leading, learning, resource generating, planning, managing, and overseeing. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you at one of our monthly virtual programs or in person when our nonprofit training series comes to your part of the state. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.